one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is what happens when there's an inflation. Okay, it's actually covered in the Bible. I think even in it's like in Genesis. Well, do you remember? Do you remember why? Do you remember why Noah had to build his boat? Okay, Noah had to build his boat because God was upset with what was going on in heaven, and he kicked 200 angels out of heaven, and those were the fallen angels. Okay, and they thought the daughters of men were very nice, and they gave birth to a race of giants. Okay, which they're interpreting as people that were very inflated. Okay, thought they were big stuff, right? So God was upset with that, so he just washes them all away, and only Noah was righteous. So so everybody else, bye bye. I just wanted to share with you that now this is a progressive view. I have a book called "What's in It for Me: Finding Ourselves in Biblical Narratives" by Rabbi Stephen Fuchs. Yeah. Now, Rabbi Fuchs.
Your rabbi friend.
Yeah, Rabbi Fuchs is a classmate of mine from Hamilton, and he was the president of the World Union of Progressive Jews, which has 1.4 million members. But when I read this book, I liked it so much that I made Steve come down here for 2 days and read it into my computer. I just wanted to read a couple of passages because one of the things was, one thing is related to righteousness, but the other, and both of them are related to Abraham, but the other was about human sacrifice, which I had mentioned before a couple of weeks ago, right? And so he says here, page 20, when God announced the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, Abraham protested mightily, "Shall not the judge of all the earth do justly?" Genesis 18:25. Abraham was calling God to account for a perceived lack of the very justice and righteousness that the Almighty charged him and his descendants to uphold. Patiently, though, God lets Abraham bargain. Are there 50, 45, 40, 30, 20, 10 righteous people there? Question mark. Finally, Abraham understands that Sodom and Gomorrah were without any righteous residents except Abraham's nephew, Lot, and his family. Okay, so, and then, of course, Lot's wife makes the mistake of looking back at Sodom and Gomorrah. Our second example involves one of Scripture's most puzzling and profound stories, the near sacrifice of Isaac. How, we wonder, could God ask such a thing? How could Abraham agree? Why does Abraham, who stood up to God and protested mightily on behalf of the strangers in Sodom and Gomorrah, not object when God instructs him? Take your son, whom you love, Isaac, and offer him as a sacrifice on one of the heights that I will point out to you. Genesis 22:3. The answer is that after his argument with God over Sodom and Gomorrah, Abraham knew God was just and knew that he could trust the Almighty even when God asked him to do something seemingly unthinkable, sacrifice his own son. Some interpreters assert that by taking Isaac to Mount Moriah, Abraham failed God's test. Others opine, although he might have been a great religious leader, he was a failure as a father to Isaac and a husband to Sarah. How else, they ask, could a good man be willing to sacrifice his own son? I contend respectfully, they missed the point. Okay. Human sacrifice was the principal scourge of the pagan world to which the new covenantal religion objected. The new religion that evolved into Judaism completely rejected human sacrifice. It is that horrific practice which, I submit, the story of the binding of Isaac decries. In beckoning Abraham to Mount Moriah to slay his son, but staying his hand, God sends a message that humanity still struggles with today. No civilized religion can accept human sacrifice in its name. From the ancient world out of which the covenant emerged, to the Spartans of ancient Greece, the Incas, Aztecs, Mayan, and Hawaiian civilizations of other hemispheres, pagan religion has always involved human sacrifice.
Louise von Franz claimed that giants in fairy tales symbolized stupid, instinctual, emotional creatures.
Uh-huh.
So that's kind of similar.
Yeah.